Hi, welcome to Figma responsive design course. Today we are going to design a food landing page. How to make this landing page fully responsive so it will work on tablet, smaller devices and bigger devices like desktop. So let's start. Okay, so the first thing I start creating rough sketches. So I have already created this rough sketch and then I move to the low fidelity wireframe and to just block out the ideas. So I have already laid out some ideas like for this section and also for the hero. So it's a good practice to not focus on design in this space, to just draw a rough sketch and then convert it to low fidelity wireframe. Okay, so I have already downloaded free icons from Plate Icon and illustration from Freefig. This color palette I have downloaded from Color Hunt, and these images I have downloaded from Pixels, and this is the typography scales which I have created. So first let's start by adding this color and this typography scale to the library, and then we will start designing landing page. So the first thing is to create a color palette local style from this. So let's just zoom in and select the first color. Click on these four dots and add new style. Let's call this black. Select this one, click on plus, type. So we have added these to our local style library. Now it's time to add typography to our local style. So first we need to select all these styles and assign a proper black color which we created in the last video. So now let's select the H1 and click on this 4 circle and click on plus, type H1. So this is our H1. Now let's select the second one and click on the plus. So we have added text style into our local style library. So we have done the colors and the typography. Now it's time to add components from these icons. Okay, so now we have already gathered the icon. So let's select these icon and duplicate this so that you can see clearly. Now just go to components and click on the drop down, create component set. What it does, like as you can see, if we can go to the asset and let's select this component one and bring it to the artboard. In the drop down, now we can change the icons easily, and it's also attached to this component. As you can see, now this is the child of this master component. So for example, if we reduce the width and height, so the child component will also update. It is a great practice to work on big projects. So let's delete this. We have already created component. Let's call this icons. Okay, now it's time to add these illustration also to a component. Let's select these and also create component set. Call this process illustration. Also we can drag, if you can hover, so it says that 4 variants inside this master component and 3 variants inside in the master component. So for example, if I drag this icon, now let's update this component. For example, if we add stroke, make it white, so the child component will also update. Let's remove the stroke, delete this one. I think we don't need the images to be component, so just leave it as it is. And now it's time to start designing the landing page. As we can see, we have already added the elements to our local style and created a library. Now let's go to the layers and see we are in the mood board and wireframe section. Copy the landing page and bring it to the design page. Let's select again the frame tool and go to the desktop. Call this design. It's a good practice to organize pages so that the design process and developers also understand pages easily. So we have already created the components. copy these component, cut this component and paste it here. Okay, now go back to the design, create grid on our page. First select page, go to the right side and inside layout grid section click on the plus. Okay, so let's create column count, let's make it 12. For the color, I think the light gray option is the best. Instead of stretch we will use center. Column width, let's make it 80 and gutter 20 is fine. As we can see in the wireframe, so the first thing is to design the logo. So let's create the logo. Let's select frame and just click to create 100 by 100 frame. Reduce the size to 48 and apply a fill color. So we have already created the color palette, so we will use it. Primary red, and for the corner let's make it 4. For the icon, I'm going to use the Font Awesome plugin. Type for food. Okay, so as we can see we will use this icon. Just click it. Font Awesome already added to our artboard. Cut this and paste inside the frame. Let's make it white, and for the height let's use the half 20. So for the font we will be using Poppins. This is the Google free font. Download this font. Semi bold. For the food, let's make it black. The box, let's use this primary red color. The size, I think 16 is looking perfect. So let's select these two items, right click, add auto layout. Okay, and the spacing 16 is fine. Create component. Let's cut this and paste it inside the component library page. Now we can go to the design. Let's go to asset and drag the component. For the placement, let's use 40 for now. So we have created our logo. Now let's see what's the next in the wireframe. So we need to create a menu item. Let's select the text tool and just type text item 1. From the style, let's choose, I think small coffee works. For the color, let's make it black. Select line tool and draw a line of width of 24. Change the color to black, 2 pixel. Let's make both sides rounded. Now let's right click, add auto layout. For the gap, make it 4. Default. Now let's select this one and make it red. For this one, let's disable the visibility. This one is default and this one is selected. Select both and go to the components and create component set. Cut this and go to component page and paste it here. Let's go to asset and grab this component. Now duplicate this 4 times. Select and right click, add auto layout. For the gap, let's make it 16 and select the first one and make it selected. Let's update real name, so home, and let's make this one menu. For the gap, let's increase it to 32. Let's center line. Okay, so this is the menu. Now let's see in the wireframe, this is the search icon and cart icon. Okay, so let's zoom in and let's create frame. Just click to create 100 by 100 frame, and now let's make it 40 by 40, round 100%. For the fill, let's try black. Okay, So we have created the frame. Now it's time to go to the asset and bring these icons. Command X and paste it. For the color, let's try white, and to make it properly aligned, let's duplicate this and let's try shop. Also make it white. Now let's convert this to auto layout, and for the gap let's try 16. Properly aligned to the center. From the top let's make it 40. The top section nav bar is completed. Now it's time to design this section and also the imagery. Hero section left side typography, you just need to cut and paste it inside the artboard. First select this subtitle and apply body copy. I think let's use small one, and let's make it red, and right click, add auto layout. For the left and right fading let's make it 32, and for the top and bottom make it 16. 99% round. Let's apply fill color and make light. Now it's time to add h1, so select this text and make it h1. Okay, go to the color and make it black. Now let's reduce the frame size. Select the center line and make it red. For the paragraph let's zoom in and let's select black and make it frame to this size. Create button. So for the button let's first update the typography and make it white. Now I think we can't see anything, so right click, add auto layout and just create 16 fading and 16 top and bottom. Apply fill color, and then now let's make it fully rounded. I think we need to increase the left and right side, so let's make it 32. Make this one 16. Now go to asset library and select icon. Okay, now let's cut this and paste it inside the frame. Okay, so let's change the color to white, and this is our button. Let's make this component and cut, send it to component. Now let's go to the design and go to asset, bring that component. We have already completed left side, and now on the right side the concept is to create a circle, a user image. Next we need to select the ellipse tool and draw a perfect circle inside 5 column. Okay, let's bring it to the top, align it to this section. Fill color, let's apply red color. Now let's duplicate this. So now in the mood board I have already downloaded this image from prepic and then uploaded to remove bg site and remove background, so it's transparent and the background one. So we need both images, so I will just select both and copy inside the design, paste it here. So first let's duplicate this circle and let's align the transparent one first. Okay, now let's duplicate this again. For the first one let's copy this background image, paste to replace. Now select both circle and image and use mask. Now let's place this circle below the image. Select both, properly align, and now inside the blending mode option let's apply overlay, multiply. Now again let's duplicate this image and place it here or maybe somewhere here. Okay, so because we will need this, So now let's select both and apply clipping mask. So we will just place it here. Now select this one and increase the height something like this. Now select both and use clipping mask. Now let's bring it on the image and align it. Now select a shape, make it something like this. Okay, now select both images and group. We don't need this image, so we'll delete it. Delete this one and place it here. I think we need to leave one column empty. And now let's select both. Okay, now let's select ellipse again and create a small circle, maybe something like this. Make it 40. 40 is fine. Let's duplicate this and make this one smaller, like 20. Let's select rectangle, apply this color, make it round, something like this. Okay, now just make it small and rotate it, place it here, something like this. Now let's reduce roundness and resize it. Let's make it 8. Add more elements like icons and plotting elements. So for this we need go to components and copy these icons and now place it here. So this icon we need to place it here, something like this. Okay, this icon we need to create again frame and cut and paste it inside the frame. Now let's select frame and let's add corner radius to 16 and let's make it 80. Also align this. Let's select both and white color we have already updated. Let's apply white color and effects, go to drop shadow. For the Y let's use 8 and for the blur, for the color I think let's use gray one and let's drop the opacity to 50% or maybe 25%. Think let's use 15%, slightly shadow. Okay, so place it here. Let's select type tool and type. Now for the delivery text, let's see if we can find small one. I think it's looking good. For the 40 minutes, let's use the small copy. Yeah, it's looking perfect. And for the color, let's use this one and also let's use black one. Okay, I forgot one thing. I didn't add matte black colors like gray color. So what I will do is to select rectangle. Let's turn off grid. Let's select rectangle, apply black. Let's make it 50%. Let's try 75%. So I think 50 is okay. So let's grab this color, delete these both and effects, add, let's type gray to keep it simple. Let's apply this color and now let's select these both text and add auto layout left side. For this we need to make it to 0 and now let's select these both and create auto layout center line. See if we can make it 16. I think 16 looking perfect and this is also auto layout. So let's see if we can add 32 by 16. Yeah, and let's try add 16. Fill color white, something like this. Okay, go to effects, drop shadow and make this one 8 and try 16. The opacity to 15%, 5%. Yeah, it's looking smooth. Let's also reduce this one to 5%. Yeah, it's looking soft. Now our header is completed. It's time to move to next section. So for the next category we need title, icon, label, and this box and round circle. So let's create this. First let's turn on grid. Now let's select text tool and type. Let's check H2 and center line. Draw a frame, something like this. Okay, let's add fill, and for now just add light color. Let's add corner radius to 16. I think let's try 32. Now let's add another frame inside the frame. So this one is 100 by 100. Let's make this one 96. Make it 100% round, and for the fill let's use white. And I think for the background let's make it white now, and for the stroke let's add this light stroke, and for this frame let's make it light. Okay, now let's add text. Let's make it 4 and align it to the center. Okay, now let's go to the components and let's see. Yeah, we have these images, so let's go to the asset and drag this image. Now just cut and paste inside the frame. Okay, now let's use 64. Let's see, I think let's increase this frame, and this need to be 48. Okay, now let's select the main frame and add auto layout. For the center spacing 48, for the top and bottom let's make it 96. Okay, let's convert it to component and add variant. For the sub variant let's make this one to red. For the title let's make this one white. This one is also need to be properly colored. Okay, so let's go to effects and add effects. For the drop shadow let's type Y8 and let's try for blur 16 and color should be red. For the opacity let's make it 25 and select this component and go to resize. Now let's remove the stroke. For the shadow let's make it blurry, so 32 and let's try 16. Again select the component frame and make it resize. Okay, so this is our component. Now let's cut this, go to layers, component and paste it here. Let's go to the design and add asset. As you can see, here is our component. Let's duplicate this 4 times, and for this one let's make it to the variant 2, and for the pizza let's change it to salad. Make it. For third one is, I think let's convert it to auto layout. So this is our category section. Let's select both and add auto layout. So for this one let's try 64. Now let's disable the grid and see the progress. So this is our hero, and now this is our category section. If we need to update the drop shadow, so we need to go to the component page, and here just we simply select the master component and reduce the opacity to 25%, and it's updated. So this is the beauty of components. So for the next section, let's review the wireframe. This is our section we need to design. So let's design this section. Just select these two texts and paste it here. Okay, first we need to assign the title. So this one H2. For the fill color, let's add same color. Okay, for the title case, we just need to go to the text and properties, and here we need to make it title case. Update the text, paragraph text. So for this, just paste the text and let's apply to the body copy. Let's go to asset and bring the order now button. Okay, and now let's apply the gray color. For the image, let's go to the mood board again. Let's see, I think we have already trimmed the background from this image too. We have used the site remove bg. So I have also followed the same technique in many previous tutorials. So if you want to see how this process is done, so let's watch the previous tutorial where I showed in the detail how to remove the background from the image. And now just copy this image and paste it here. If you want to find the same image, I have used the prefix site to find this image. Okay, let's also create auto layout from this section. Don't know why this is happening. Okay, let's remove auto layout and let's ungroup. Okay, the problem is here. Let's select this, and now let's create auto layout. For the line, I think 32 will be fine. Let's create auto layout from the title and paragraph. Add auto layout. 32 is fine, but here we need to add 64. So there is a gap between button and text. Okay, press command key and remove the empty area. Now let's increase the size slightly, something like this. Let's select circle and let's make it 2x. Place it below the image, something like this. And for the pill, let's use red color. Select the circle, duplicate it, place it here. Let's select these and group, command G, and let's select both, align it, and let's convert it to auto layout. For the spacing, let's use 96, something like this. Okay, and for this, let's also use 96. This is our third section. Okay, so let's move to the next section. This is the 3-step process. So let's select, copy, and paste. First, go to the title and select H2. For the color, let's try black and center line. So this is just ellipse. For this text, let's make it body small. And for the prepare, let's make it 24. For the color, let's try light. Let's fix this. Okay, now right click and make it frame selection. Okay, we don't need any circle right now. Okay, for the illustration, let's see if we, yeah, we added the illustration, so just drag the illustration, copy and paste here. Okay, let's make it 128 frame size. Let's make it 99 and apply the fill color, clip content for the illustration. So let's try 96. Okay, let's select both these three items. Okay, so let's select the first card and create component. So this is the master component. We don't need to use the master component, so let's paste it here, and in the design let's grab the component, yeah, this one. So this is the sub component. Let's delete this one. Let's turn on grid. Let's select these and add auto layout. For the center space, let's try 32. Let's make it 64. And for this illustration, let's try this one. Okay, so this is our design so far. Let's turn our grid. Let's start working on the customer review section. So let's copy this and paste it here. So first we need to add image. For the image, let's go to the mood board and let's copy these all images. Now go to design and let's place here. For the image, let's paste to replace. Turn on grid, align it on the grid. Let's bring these images to the top and add auto layout. Let's make it -24. Let's see, yeah, -24 is looking good. Add stroke. For the color, let's use white. Inside, make it 2. Okay, now let's select, send it to bake, and let's make something like this. Okay, let's apply red color. Let's remove roundness. Okay, let's make it H2, color black. For the review, let's copy this review. I think we need to make it 24 regular. For the line height, let's use 200%. If you want to create star, you just need to go to the shape and select star and make it 32 by 32. The color should be something like, make it slightly orange. Okay, let's delete this and also create component, cut and paste it inside component. Now let's duplicate this, select auto layout. With the option key you can drag anything from the auto layout. And for the text, this text, let's choose H4, make it black. For the company, let's make it small copy with the light gray color. Select both and add auto layout. Let's see, for the spacing, make it 8 and select both and add auto layout. For this, let's try 32. Let's make it center. Let's select and add auto layout. For this, let's try 32. Let's try this and let's make it 10x. Let's make it auto. Create outline stroke and let's make it light gray or maybe red. Send it to bake. Make it absolute position. Let's slightly taller the image. Let's bring this section so there is some breathing room. Okay, so now let's move to the next section. Here is download or app, two buttons for App Store and the images screenshot of the app. So let's create this section. First we need to turn on grid. Next, let's create a frame. Let's add fill color to this light color. We just need title, so copy this, paste it inside frame. Let's paste this text H2 black and left align. Next, inside the moodboard wireframe page, there is app screenshot. Just copy, paste. Let's try H3 to make it small. And let's try this. Okay, now let's just adjust the height of the frame. Okay, now let's create another frame and let's make it 96 by 96, 100% roundness fill, and let's make it white. Now it's time to add component, so let's drag this one inside frame and let's make this one to 48 by 48. Let's duplicate this. Let's try to get, so let's make this one 32. Okay, first we need to right click and add auto layout, then select title and text, make it auto layout. Gap, let's use 64. Let's make this one also light color, it's very vivid color, and let's use this black color. The design so far it's looking great. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so it's time to create footer and let's copy text and let's paste it here. Select logo, paste to replace. Okay, next let's copy some text here. Let's make this is slightly dark. Now let's select these and let's see if 24 is looking good. For this one, let's choose body small. Okay, for this text, let's try gray and it's too much. Let's try black and let's make it center line. These are links, so let's try red color. I think red is too much. Let's leave it black. Okay, I think let's make it black. For the social, let's place social icons here, and let's center line. Let's make this one slightly bigger. Okay, one thing, let's create connected line here, because it's a process, so it's need to look like a process. Let's make the line red for now. For the style, let's make it dash. Yeah, 10 is looking good. Let's duplicate this. To make this landing page fully responsive, so press the Z key and let's drag and focus the header area first. Let's start from the top section, and let's select these three items and press Shift A on the keyboard to create auto layout. Now let's rename the frame to container. Now let's create again auto layout, so press Shift A again and remove padding top and bottom. Figma by default add this. Okay, let's leave it hug for right now, both vertical and horizontal, and let's rename this header section. So this is basically a main section, and inside the section there is container. It's time to work on the hero section. First select the left side these items and convert it to auto layout. Let's rename this to copy container. Again convert it to auto layout, and let's call this left column. Now select the image and convert it to auto layout. Now let's call this one right column. Select both left and right column and convert it to auto layout. Call this main container and again convert it to auto layout. Let's call this section a hero. Let's remove left and right padding and leave it hug for right now. So this is our header and the hero section. It's time to work on the top category section. So first we need to select this card and convert it to auto layout. Let's call this one cards container. Select with the title and again convert it to auto layout. Let's call this one container, main container. Convert it to auto layout for the section, and let's call this one categories. Remove padding and leave the hug. So now to work on this content section, so let's start. First we need to select these three items and convert it to auto layout, and let's call this one copy dash container. Okay, now let's select the image, right click or maybe use shortcut Shift A and convert this one to right container. Now let's select copy container and convert it again to container. Let's call this one left column. Rename this one to right column. Okay, let's remove the padding and let's remove the padding from this one. Okay, now let's select both item and convert it to auto layout. This time this is our container, and again convert it to for the section. So let's remove the padding from this one and let's call this section content, and this is the structure. So content, this is basically the section, this is container, and inside the container this one is left column and this one is right column. Now let's move to our process section. So here we just need to select all these items and convert it to auto layout. So let's call this one steps container. Inside steps container, let's select dotted line and we will use absolute position. So let's select this one and drag it to here. Same for the second line, let's use absolute position and let's place it here. So this is our steps container. Now select both the steps container and the title, convert it to auto layout. This one is called container, and again convert it to auto layout. Remove padding, and this is basically the section, so we will call this sections process. So this is our process. This is basically content and categories, hero section and header section. Now let's work on review section. So for this section, let's select convert it to auto layout. So this is not basically what we want, so select this section and make it absolute position. Now let's bring it here and let's position it. Press option key and let's align it 40 by 40. Okay, now let's select these user, create absolute position, bring it here. Okay, and let's call this one. Now let's image, let's call this one image red rectangle. Okay, let's first convert this to auto layout and let's call this one user dash info. This one is called stars, and this is this comma and title. Let's select the right side, convert it to auto layout. This is not what we expecting. Let's use the proper spacing like 32, and let's select column and let's select the comma and create absolute position. Now let's bring this back something like this. So we have to manually position this, and same in the CSS. So this is actually absolute position work. Now select the right side and call this right column, and this one is image, and let's again convert the image frame and let's call this one is left column. Now let's remove the padding from both sides and select the both left and right column, convert it to auto layout, and let's make this one is to container. So this is our container. Now let's convert it again to auto layout, and so for this section we will call this one is customer reviews or maybe just reviews. Remove left right padding and top and bottom padding. Hug is fine, and this is our review section. So let's expand this. This is basically section container, and inside container this left column right column. Now let's work on the CTA section. So for this section, if we can review, so this is just a regular frame, and inside frame here is an auto layout. Let's rename this and we'll call this inside copy container. This is a CTA container. Also let's convert it to auto layout, this main frame. Let's select hug. So instead of hug we will use fixed width, and let's type 1180. Okay, now let's select both frame and image, convert it to auto layout, and now let's select image and make it absolute position. Now let's bring it to the center, something like this. Let's rename this, and this is called container, and again convert it to section layout. So now let's rename this to CTA section. Remove padding and leave it hug for right now. Okay, so now let's work on the footer. So now select these two items and convert it to auto layout. Let's call this frame, and this one let's make it to auto width. Select both and convert it to auto layout. Call this one should be container. Okay, and this one should be social links. Now let's select these and convert it to auto. Let's call this one. Now let's select this one and convert it to auto layout, and this one should be container. Again convert it to section layout, so this section is called footer. Let's remove the fading. So our layout is ready for responsive, and we have already cleaned out the layout. We have converted each and everything to auto layout and organize it by sections. So now it's easy for us to make it fully responsive. So the first thing, we need to select this master frame and convert it to auto layout. Now let's add some spacing so that the changes which we made will be easy for us. So let's make it 100. Okay, so after adding spacing to each sections, we can start from the first section. Select this frame. This is the master frame. Now let's make it 96, padding from left and right. Okay, and now let's select this section and make it fill container. Let's select this section and make fill container, and inside the spacing let's make it auto. Now let's go to the hero section, and inside the hero let's make it fill container. Now let's select the container and make it fill, change the property to auto. Now let's select inside the left column and make it fill container. Now inside the copy container, make it fill container. For the text, let's use, instead of fixed, we will make it fill container. For the paragraph, let's make it fill container. Leave the CTA to hug. Okay, so now after changing the properties of all these fixed to the fill, for the right side, let's make it fill container. And for the image, let's make it fill, and change from crop to fit. Okay, also let's check this container, make it fill, and for the container it's auto. Now let's check, is it responsive or not. Okay, now let's do one thing, instead of fixed we will make it fill. This one should be fixed, the master, and this one should be fill container. Okay, now let's see, it's working. Now let's go to this section, make it fill container, and for this section also make it fill container, but master add fading of 96 each side and make it fill. And for the grid, make it wrap. Now let's check, it's need to be fixed with, so let's make it fixed. Let's make the height to 32. Now horizontally and vertically gap is 32. Now let's check, yeah, it's working. Now let's make the content section responsive. So first we need to select the content section and make it fill. Now let's add 96 from both sides fading, and let's make this center. Let's make this fill, and now let's select the left column, make it fill. Select content copy and make it fill. For the title, let's make it fill, and text also need to be filled. Button, we will leave it to the hug. And now select the right column and make it fill. Image need to be fill container and fill from both sides. Let's make it fit. Now let's check, it's responsive and working fine. Okay, now let's move to the process section and make it responsive. First we need to select section and make it fill container. Now, and also let's add 96 padding from both sides. Select main container and make it fill. Now select this child card section and make it, let's make it 32 and 32. Also let's make it center. Okay, and for each card let's make it fixed with Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's working. Now let's work on the customer review section. Make it fill container 96, fading from both sides, and inside container let's make it fill container. Text need to be fill. Reviews let's leave it hug, and for the user also leave it hug. Yeah, it's working. Now let's make this section to fill, so it will not work. Let's see if we make it 96, and let's make this one to fill. Let's make it to fill. Okay, let's select this and make it. Let's leave it hug, and for the image select image and make it. Okay, yeah, the image is not inside the frame, so let's see if we can make it scale with this position, and also the image need to be fit. So let's see, it's working. Okay, so let's work on the footer. So let's select footer section, make it fill container. Now let's add left and right fading 96, and let's select the container, make it fill container. Okay, now let's select the top section and make it fill container. Select the left column and make it fill container. Now select content, make it fill. Select text, make it fill, and the logo is hug fine. Okay, now let's select the right column, make it fill container. Inside the right, let's select the menu, make it hug. Okay, inside the menu let's choose this one and make it fill. About, let's make it fill container. Okay, let's remove and make it auto. So let's see, make this one auto. Now let's select this one and make it fill container. The text and make it fill. This one is also fill. Let's make it fill container, and both are fill. Okay, now let's check this spacing. So let's see. Okay, this one is auto. Let's add 32 pixel. I think we can add 64. For the social, let's select this one and make it fill. This one is hug fine, and make this one is fill container. Let's try 96 to make it tight. This one is auto fine. Okay, so this is the footer. Let's remove the top and bottom space, and 120 I think. Let's try 96 for each section. Okay, so the benefit of converting mainframe to auto layout is now we can just select one section and move up and down without distracting. So this is the plus point of making the mainframe to auto layout. I think we need to increase the size, so let's make it 28. Let's, for the bottom, let's try 22 at the bottom, so it's not touching the edge. Now it's fully responsive, as we can see. Now let's make the tablet version and then the mobile version. So first we need to rename this to desktop. Now let's duplicate this with Command D. Let's select the iPad version, the mini iPad Pro 11, and the first thing we need to make it hug content. so it's automatically go to the content. Okay, now let's rename this and call this iPad. Okay, first we need to reduce the fading, so let's make it 64, and let's select container and make it vertical layout, and let's bring it to the top. So first the image, then the typography. Okay, so this section is automatically resized as we select the wrap option, so it's automatically resize, but let's reduce the padding to 64. Okay, so for this section let's first reduce the padding to 64, and now select the container, make it vertical, so the image should be the top. Okay, I think inside the spacing let's make it 64. For this text I think it's fine. So now let's move to this section. Okay, so let's remove and make it 64, and as we can see it's now showing to this layout. I think we need the process should be, so let's make it 96. I like this top to bottom. I think in iPad we don't need these dotted lines, so let's remove this. So this is output process. Let's see, 32 is fine. So output process. Now let's go to this section and let's make it 64 padding, and same for the layout, make it vertical. For this section let's make it fill, and for the image let's make it fill, and this is absolute, so let's make it something like this. Okay, so let's make this one 64 or maybe 96. So this is our review section. Now let's go to this section. Make it fill. Okay, I think we need to reduce. Let's make it 64 padding for the left container and for the image. So let's make the image something like this. Font size is fine, and the 36 is also fine. I think for the whole layout let's reduce the spacing up gap to 96. So now the section is slightly tight. Okay, so for the footer let's select top section and make it vertical, something like this, and I think it's looking perfect. Let's check this section and let's make it to 64, and let's make it executive collection. Okay, so it will look like this. Now it's looking perfect. So this is our tablet version, so let's see if it is responsive. Yeah, it's fully responsive as we can see, and I think yeah, the image is also responsive. Okay, so let's make this one is to fill, and the image is also filled. So let's see, yeah, it's responsive now. So this is the iPad version, tablet. So we have completed the desktop version and the tablet version, and both are responsive as we can see. And now it's time to create the phone version. So let's duplicate the tablet version and let's select iPhone 13 mini 375. So let's select this viewport size, and let's make this one is hug content. So the first thing we need for the padding, let's use 24, and inside the nav container let's remove this one. Let's copy this frame, let's copy this hamburger menu icon which I have already created, and let's paste to replace. And I think we don't need, we will place it inside the hamburger menu. So now the header part is done. Okay, so let's check for the image. I think let's reduce this space to 32 and image is fine. Okay, so now let's reduce the size of this text, so make it 15 or maybe 14. And for the title, let's use 32, and for the text 16 is fine. I think let's make it 36. Okay, so this is h1 and this is text. Okay, so for the CTA section, let's make it vertical. Change the property to fill container. Let's make this one to fill container and also from hug to fill container. Let's make it to hug. Change this one to fill container and right column is fixed. So let's change manually. Okay, now let's make this space to 64. Select the title, so this is h2, so let's make it 24. I think 24 is fine. Okay, so let's reduce the padding to 24 and let's make this one to 32. For this section, for the top and bottom padding, let's try 32. So I think let's make it 64. Yeah, 64 is fine, so let's use 64. So the next is, now let's update this one to 24. Let's make it 24. Let's try 32. Let's make it fill container. Inside the image is fill and it's fit. So let's make it a hug. This is also h2, so let's try 24 and let's make it food for any time. Okay, and instead of, let's try 32. For the button, let's make it fill container. Let's try hug. Okay, so now let's select, first we need to update the section, so let's make it 64. 24 and select the title and make it 24. So the h2 is 24 and make it fill container. Now let's see for the boxes. So the 32 is, let's make it 24 and 24. So now let's go to this section. Let's try first update padding, left right padding, and now let's change the absolute position. This is also fixed to it, so lift container. Let's select the avatar and place it here. Now let's check the padding, so let's try 64. For customer reviews, let's make it h2, and for this text, let's try 20. I think 20 is looking good. Select this absolute position up. Okay, so let's make it center. For this, let's try 24. I think we could try and make it center line. So far so good. This is looking perfect. Let's see if it's responsive. Yeah, it's responsive. Okay, and now let's select this section. First we need to update padding, and now let's select section and let's change this title to 24. Let's make it to the fill container. Let's make it 64 and 64. Okay, so let's select. Okay, so let's make it center line, and I think this don't need to be a frame, so let's convert it to auto layout, and let's reduce the size to 24. And for the spacing, let's try 16 by 16 to add some fading. Okay, this one also need to be, let's try 24. And for the padding, let's add 16 by 16. Okay, let's try 32. Okay, so for the image, let's press the option key and reduce the empty space. Let's copy this and paste it again inside container, and let's bring it to the top. Let's make it to the fill container, and also fill container, let's make the size to fit. Okay, I think let's try absolute position, and for the top one, let's try 100. I think let's try 200, 150. Yeah, so this is our CTA section, and let's see, yeah, fill, and now it's fully responsive. Okay, so now let's select the main container, and instead of fixed, let's use hug content. Okay, now let's go to footer, and for the footer, let's first remove the fading to 24, and for this section, let's try to make it center. Okay, so inside the left column, yeah, let's try to make it center. For the text, I think let's leave it like this to the left side align, and now let's remove these links, select these links, and now let's make it 32, and let's reduce the size to, I think 16 is fine, so let's use 16. And I have already created this icon, so just copy this icon and let's place it here, and select link and make it horizontal. Now let's select this one and make it horizontal, and this one. So this is now responsive, and let's see, it's fully responsive and working. Yeah, everything is set to fill. So when we stretch the viewport, so it will respond to the viewport. This is it. Okay, so this was today's course about landing page design in Figma. Hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments down below. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel.